So I was standing in the Apple store last month watching this guy trade in his iPhone 14 Pro for the new iPhone 15 Pro Max. His old phone was in perfect condition, not a scratch on it, worked flawlessly, still had 92% battery health, but he was handing it over anyway, getting a $650 trade-in credit toward his $1,199 new phone, and walking out thinking he got a great deal because he only paid $549 out of pocket. And I'm standing there doing math in my head, thinking about how this exact ritual, this perfectly choreographed upgrade cycle that happens every September, is quietly extracting tens of thousands of dollars from people over their lifetimes. Because here's the thing nobody wants to admit. That phone he traded in was going to work perfectly fine for another 2 or 3 years. The camera was still excellent. The processor still handled everything he needed. The only reason he was upgrading was because Apple told him it was time to upgrade. A new color came out, the camera got slightly better, the screen got slightly brighter, and that was enough to convince him to hand over another $549 plus tax. Now multiply that decision by the 10 upgrade cycles he'll go through over the next 20 years of his life, add compound interest on what he could have invested instead, and you start to understand what I mean when I say your phone upgrade habit isn't a $1,200 decision, it's a $40,000 decision. And today, I'm going to break down exactly why. My name is Bobby, and I spend way too much time analyzing upgrade cycles, carrier financing schemes, and the psychology behind why we can't seem to hold on to phones that work perfectly fine. If you're someone who upgrades every 2 years without really thinking about whether you need to, who feels weirdly anxious when your phone is more than 18 months old, or who has never actually calculated what your upgrade habit costs over a lifetime, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out. Because what I'm about to reveal isn't just about phones. It's about understanding how corporations have engineered a wealth extraction machine disguised as consumer convenience, and how that machine is silently draining money from your future self. The 5 reasons I'm going to cover today will fundamentally change how you think about that new phone feeling and whether it's actually worth what you're paying for it. Let's start with the math that nobody actually runs, because once you see these numbers, you can't unsee them. The average flagship phone today costs between $1,000 and $1,400. Let's use $1,200 as our baseline. That's roughly what an iPhone 15 Pro or Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra costs. Now, the typical upgrade cycle for American consumers is about 2.5 years, according to data from Counterpoint Research. But the phone companies have worked very hard to pull that number down toward 2 years through financing deals, trade-in programs, and the psychological manipulation we'll talk about later. So let's compare 2 scenarios over a 20-year period. Scenario A is the typical upgrader. They buy a new $1,200 phone every 2 years. Over 20 years, that's 10 phones at $1,200 each, totaling $12,000 in direct spending. But wait, they're getting trade-in credits, right? The average trade-in value for a 2-year-old flagship is about $350 to $450. Let's be generous and say $400. So their net cost per upgrade is $800. Over 10 upgrades, that's $8,000 in net phone spending. Still a lot, but not insane. Scenario B is the strategic holder. They buy a new $1,200 phone every 4 years instead of every 2. Over 20 years, that's 5 phones at $1,200 each, totaling $6,000 in direct spending. Their trade-in values are lower because the phones are older, maybe $150 on average, so their net cost is $1,050 per cycle, or $5,250 over 20 years. The difference between these 2 approaches is $2,750 over 20 years. Bobby, that's not nothing, but that's not $40,000 either. You're right, the direct cost difference isn't the headline number. This is where it gets really interesting. The real cost is the opportunity cost, what that money could have become if invested instead of spent on phones. Scenario A spends $800 every 2 years on upgrades. If they had instead invested half that amount, $400 every 2 years, or roughly $17 per month, at a 10% average annual return, after 20 years, they'd have approximately $12,000. But here's the full picture. If someone at age 25 started investing the entire difference between aggressive upgrading and strategic holding, about $230 per year, that money invested at 10% annually would grow to approximately $14,600 by age 45. And if they continued this behavior from age 25 to 65, the difference compounds to over $40,000. That's the real cost of the upgrade cycle. Not the $1,200 you see on the price tag, but the $40,000 in future wealth you're sacrificing for marginally better cameras and slightly faster processors. Now, let me explain why trade-in programs are specifically designed to feel like good deals while actually accelerating wealth extraction. When Apple or Samsung offers you $650 for your 2-year-old phone, it feels like free money. You think, great, my new phone only costs me $549 instead of $1,199. I'm basically getting a 54% discount. But here's what most people don't realize. That trade-in value is calibrated precisely to make upgrading feel reasonable, while ensuring you never escape the upgrade cycle. Think about what happens to your traded-in phone. Apple refurbishes it and sells it in emerging markets or through their certified refurbished program for $700 to $900. They're making a profit on your old device while using it as a tool to lock you into buying a new one. You're subsidizing their secondary market while paying full price for their primary market. The genius of the trade-in system is that it creates a false sense of value recovery. You feel like you're getting something back, so the upgrade feels financially responsible. But you're not recovering value, you're accelerating depreciation. A phone that could have served you productively for another 2 years gets converted into a partial credit towards another depreciating asset. You're trading future utility for present novelty. Here's the alternative math. That 2-year-old iPhone 14 Pro you were going to trade in for $650, if you kept it for 2 more years and used it until it genuinely needed replacement, you'd save the entire $549 out-of-pocket cost of the upgrade. Yes, when you finally do replace it at 4 years old, you'll get less trade-in value, maybe $150 instead of $650, but you skipped an entire $1,200 purchase cycle. You're $1,050 ahead, $1,200 new phone minus $150 eventual trade-in. The trade-in program tricks you into feeling like you're optimizing value when you're actually optimizing their revenue cycle. This is where we need to talk about the psychological manipulation that makes perfectly functional phones feel inadequate. Phone manufacturers have perfected what I call manufactured obsolescence psychology, the art of making you feel like your current device is failing you when it's objectively still excellent. The primary tool is the annual release cycle itself. Every September, Apple holds a keynote event that's essentially a 2-hour infomercial designed to make your current phone feel dated. They show off new camera features by displaying stunning photos you could never replicate in real life. They announce processing speeds that sound impressive but have zero impact on how you actually use your phone, scrolling social media, texting, and occasionally taking photos. They introduce new colors and materials designed to make your existing phone look old by comparison. According to a 2023 survey by CellCell, 66% of people who upgraded their phones was not because their old phone stopped working, but because they wanted new features. When asked which features specifically motivated the upgrade, the top answers were better camera, new design, and faster performance. All things that provide marginal real-world improvements but massive psychological appeal. The camera on an iPhone 14 Pro is already better than what professional photographers had 10 years ago. The performance is already faster than 99% of users will ever need. But the marketing creates a gap between what I have and what's possible that feels urgent to close. There's also the social signaling component. Having the latest phone signals status, technological literacy, and financial capability. Having a 3-year-old phone signals what? Being behind? Being cheap? Phone companies have successfully tied device newness to personal identity, making the upgrade feel like self-improvement rather than consumption. You're not just buying a phone, you're buying the feeling of being current, relevant, modern. And that feeling, conveniently, needs to be repurchased every 2 years. Now, you might be thinking, Bobby, I don't pay $1,200 up front. I pay $33 per month through my carrier's financing plan. That's totally manageable. And this is exactly what they want you to think. Carrier financing and monthly payment plans are specifically designed to obscure the true cost of your upgrade habit by making it feel like a small, manageable subscription rather than a significant purchase. Here's the psychology. When you pay $33 per month for 36 months, you don't feel like you're spending $1,188 on a phone. You feel like you're paying a small premium on top of your phone bill for the convenience of having a good device. The purchase gets mentally categorized as a utility cost rather than a discretionary luxury expense. This is called payment decoupling, and it's been studied extensively in behavioral economics. When the payment is separated from the consumption, especially when it's spread over time, you perceive the cost as lower, even when it's identical or higher. But here's where it gets insidious. Many carrier financing plans are structured to encourage early upgrades. They'll let you upgrade at 18 or 24 months if you trade in your current device. You feel like you're getting out of your old phone early, but what you're actually doing is restarting the payment clock. You had 12 months of payments left. Those either get added to your new financing, rolled into a higher monthly payment, or wiped in exchange for your trade-in device. Either way, you never actually finish paying for a phone. You just keep rolling one financing cycle into the next. Someone who finances phones continuously for 20 years might pay $33 per month for the entire period. That's $7,920 in payments. If they had instead bought phones strategically every 4 years and paid up front, their total cost would be closer to $5,250. The financing premium is $2,670, pure profit for the carrier and phone manufacturer, extracted through the illusion of affordability. Here's the final reason, and it's the one the phone companies really don't want you to understand. Modern flagship phones are built to last far longer than the upgrade cycles they're marketed with. The 2-year upgrade cycle isn't based on how long phones actually remain functional. It's based on how frequently companies want you to buy new ones. According to a 2023 report from Simco, the average functional lifespan of an iPhone is now over 4 years. That's how long they typically work without significant issues. Apple now supports iPhones with software updates for 6 to 7 years after release. The iPhone 8 from 2017 just stopped receiving updates in 2023. Battery degradation, the most common argument for upgrading, can be addressed with an $89 battery replacement that extends useful life by 2 or more years. The idea that you need a new phone every 2 years is a complete fabrication designed to maximize corporate revenue. Let me give you a concrete example. I have a friend who's still using an iPhone 12 from 2020. It's 4 years old. The camera still takes excellent photos. The apps still run smoothly. The battery was replaced once for $89. The only thing it doesn't have is the dynamic island, USB-C, and the latest computational photography features, none of which affect his daily usage in any meaningful way. He's saved approximately $2,400 by skipping 2 upgrade cycles, the iPhone 13 and iPhone 14 generations. Invested at 10%, that's money that will grow to over $6,000 by the time he retires. From one phone, the average American will own approximately 15 to 20 smartphones in their adult lifetime at current upgrade rates. If they extended each ownership period from 2.5 years to 4 years, they'd own 10 to 12 phones instead, saving thousands in direct costs and tens of thousands in opportunity costs. So, let's connect all 5 reasons and see the full picture of how phone companies have built a wealth extraction machine. First, they've created an upgrade cycle that's shorter than the actual useful life of their products. Second, they've built trade-in programs that make early upgrading feel financially responsible when it's actually financially destructive. Third, they've mastered the psychology of manufactured obsolescence, making functional phones feel inadequate through marketing and annual release cycles. Fourth, they've obscured the true cost through financing plans that decouple payment from purchase psychology. Fifth, they've hidden the actual longevity of their devices to prevent you from realizing you could keep your phone twice as long as they suggest. Every piece of this system is designed to maximize the frequency with which you hand over money. And the victims are people who never run the numbers, who never question why they feel the urge to upgrade, who never realize that the deal they're getting is actually a wealth transfer from your future self to corporate shareholders. Your phone works fine. The camera is already better than you need. The processor is already faster than your apps require. The only thing making you feel like you need an upgrade is a marketing machine designed specifically to create that feeling. Recognize the manipulation, run the numbers, keep your phone until it actually needs replacement, and invest the difference in something that appreciates rather than depreciates. That's how you stop paying $40,000 for a $1,200 phone. That's how you escape the upgrade calendar. And that's how you start building wealth instead of subsidizing someone else's. If this video made you think twice about your next phone upgrade, hit that subscribe button. Share this with someone who's already eyeing the new iPhone or Galaxy. I'll see you in the next one.